guys, it's Katie here with Life Mundane, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about everything that you need to know when it comes to preparing for your local homeschool convention or homeschool conference. I'm excited to share with you guys all the tips and tricks from registering to your convention to what to pack to how to make the most of it. So let's get started. Hi, my name is Katie and welcome to Life in the Mundane. I am a second generation homeschool mom of 6 beautiful kiddos, and on this channel we talk all things resources. I love to share with you resources that are going to help you in your homeschooling and help encourage you in your biblical parenting and how you can utilize those to their fullest potential so that you can make the most of the little moments. So I have actually been attending homeschool conventions for over 14 years. Yes, if you're doing the math right now, my oldest is going to be turning 13 this year, which means I have been attending homeschool conventions since before my son was born. Did I really need to go that early? Probably not, but I did learn a lot through that experience. And through all these years of shopping conventions, of listening to workshops, I really wanted to bring that knowledge to you guys in a quick, easy to use video that'll help you make the most of your homeschool convention. So the first thing we're going to cover is registering for conference. How do you find the conferences? The first way to do it is very simple. Just Google homeschool convention or homeschool conference in my area, put in your state, and you usually can find a list of different conventions that are going on in your area. You can also look up some of the bigger homeschool conventions that may not be local to you, but may be worth traveling to. Some of the good ones to look at are the Great Homeschool Convention, Teach Them Diligently. I'll link a few more down below of the most popular ones out there, but it's a great idea to go look at those and maybe even consider traveling to one if you don't have one close by. Second thing, when it comes to registering, always make sure that you sign up for that conference's emails and look on their social media, follow them on their social media. You can oftentimes find discounts or different deals leading up to convention. Maybe there's not any this year as we're getting closer to the convention season, but following now can help you get those early bird tickets for next year to help you snag the best deal possible. Speaking of the best deal possible, the third thing I want to say about registration is make sure that if budget is something that is going to keep you from going to convention, to reach out to the administration team of those conventions. Usually if you go to the website, you can find a contact us form and ask them if there are any volunteer opportunities. They're on a first come first serve basis, but by serving for a certain amount of hours during the convention, you can get free access to the rest of the conventions. So how can we come prepared for the convention? The first thing that I like to do, but is not absolutely necessary, you will still have a great time if you don't do this, is I like to go on the convention website and print off the different workshops and the schedule of events for the weekend. I like to go through this and just get an idea of which convention workshops I might want to work through. I will typically go through and I will star any ones that look interesting to me, and then I'll circle ones if there's certain one that I definitely want to hit that. I have no other option that looks interesting to me or that is the best one. I will circle that one, but I'll just go through and star any of the ones that look interesting. A lot of times I leave the final decision to the day of the convention. And part of that is because sometimes you just have different things that come up. Maybe a friend catches you and you end up in a great conversation and you don't mind missing the next workshop. Or maybe you go into one workshop, find the speaker to be amazing, and you want to go to more of their workshops. So maybe you're going to change your selection based on that. Or maybe you go to a workshop that's not quite as interesting and you're like, never mind, not going to that speaker again. So I like to leave a little bit of flexibility, and by starring any of the ones that look interesting to me, it makes it a lot easier the day of to not be caught in all of these big decisions, but instead I already have it narrowed down to a list of 2 or 3 options. Another thing when it comes to being prepared is to kind of establish your goal for the convention. Is your goal primarily to shop, purchase curriculum and bring it home? Are you just wanting to go to window shop, get an idea of what's out there, what's offered? Are you going primarily for the workshops to get as much education, continuing education as a teacher as you can possibly get? Or are you going primarily to network? Are you going to meet up with your friends that you haven't seen all year long to get to see one another, to get to talk to one another? Knowing your primary focus of the convention will really, really help you. It's not that you can't do all of the above, but being able to know where your priorities lie when it comes to picking your schedule, when it comes to the decisions and choices you need to make while you're there, is absolutely critical. Third thing you can do when it comes to being prepared is set a budget. It is absolutely essential that you have an idea of what you can spend. I love to shop, but it's good to have a budget to know what you need and to make sure that you get what you need first and use the extra money for anything extra. The fourth thing I love to do when it comes to being prepared is I do like to scope out places to eat around the convention area area, or finding out what the rules are as far as food in the convention hall. Some convention halls will not allow you to bring food inside, snacks or lunches or water bottles or anything. If that is the case, maybe you want to pack lunch and put it in your car. You can go out to it during your lunch break. Or maybe if you are going to eat out, consider what area locations there are. I like to kind of scope out, even if I don't pick exactly what I'm gonna do for lunch or dinner, I like to go ahead and download the apps for several of those places, because sometimes you can save a lot of money and time by being able to order in advance. So while I'm in the session right before lunch, a lot of times I'll place my lunch order so I can just walk in and pick it up and be ready to go. Everybody's breaking for lunch at the same time. So if you can place an order in advance, or if you can snag a couple of the deals that are available on these apps, it can save you money and it can save you time. The final thing when it comes to being prepared is to look over the vendor list and see what vendors are going to be there. Are there going to be curriculums that you specifically want to make sure you look at? It's not that you need to spend hours and hours researching every vendor. You'll have plenty of opportunity to walk through the vendor halls and talk to each one of the vendors, to flip through the curriculum and ask your questions. But having an idea ahead of time of who do you want to make sure that you talk to, or who do you definitely want to make sure that you buy from, is a great idea. Know that not all, but many of the vendors will offer either free shipping during that day or will offer some kind of discount. So it's a good idea to know how you want to spend your money in advance. Now it's time to pack for convention. So how can we start packing? What is the most important things to have? The first thing that is absolutely essential to your homeschool convention weekend is making sure you pack good shoes, because there's a lot of walking around that happens during convention, whether it's in the actual vendor hall, whether it's walking from session to session, or whether it's walking on your way to or from different restaurants, or even to and from your car can be quite a walk. So be sure to get reliable shoes. Also, along those lines, when it comes to clothes, make sure that you dress in layers. Convention halls are chronically either way cold or way hot. And so because of that, and you don't know what the situation is going to be, it's always good to have layers that you can put on or take off. When it comes to the shopping experience, you want to bring a rolling cart. I have brought a rolling cart to almost every convention I've been to. You can get them. There's lots of different options out there, but having a rolling cart to put your curriculum in, to put your purse in, to put the different things you're going to be handed out throughout the convention hall can be very, very, very helpful. I will tell you, I've even seen people use rolling suitcases. You definitely can bring your wagons or your strollers into convention halls. It is a very family-friendly atmosphere. However, that being said, the larger the item, the more you have to maneuver around the crowds. So I personally, unless I do actually have a child that I'm bringing with me, prefer to keep my container a little bit smaller. Also check your convention hall. I know the local one here in Wichita, Kansas, the Kansas Home Educator Conference, which I will link down below for you guys. They offer an amazing service through the Trail Life. These are the Christian version of Boy Scouts. They have a booth that is specifically set up so that you can check your bags, your purchases, things like that, totally for free. You can check them at their booth. You can do all the shopping, do all the workshops, and then at the end of the day, you go pick up your items. And it's a great service that they offer for homeschool moms. So check that out as a potential option as well. Another thing that I love to bring for the vendor hall is Scotch tape. I know this is going to seem a little weird. You are going to walk through the vendor hall and you're going to have lots of people handing you business cards and brochures and catalogs and pamphlets and all of these papers. If you just shove them to the bottom of your bag, they're easily going to be forgotten and mixed up. You're not going to remember, was it this company or this company that had that math curriculum you wanted to look at? You're going to take their business card, their pamphlet, their brochure, and you're going to tape it into that notebook. You can write little notes on the side if you'd like to, just to help you remember what the context was. Oh, make sure to look into their geography curriculum or things like that. The other ones can go into a bag all shoved together, and then later on you can sort through and see if there's anything of interest for you. But I highly recommend taping the ones that are most important that you want to make sure you review on into that notebook so you have it for future reference and they don't get lost in all the chaos. And then as far as the workshops go, I highly recommend bringing along a notebook, some kind of writing utensil to write your notes, a highlighter, and some stickers. Now, where the highlighter and stickers come into place is in our next section, which is how to make the most of homeschool conventions. So let's jump to that. When it comes to writing notes, I don't need to sit here and teach you how to write notes in a workshop, but how do you make the most of that note taking so that it's not just something you write down and never look at again? Well, this is a different little trick that I learned years ago going to convention that has really made a huge difference in how I take that information, how I process it, and how I make sure I get to act on it and not just just learn it and forget it. So once you're done with writing your notes for that session, I'm gonna recommend you do it right then, but if you can't wait, if you can't do it right that second because you've got to book it on to the next session, do it at least that night. You don't want to sleep on it and forget it. I want you to go to every session that you went to and highlight 1 to 3 things that really stood out to you the most. Again, these could be quotes, actionable steps, things to look up, things to research. These could be questions that you had. Whatever it is, no more than 3 things per session, but at least 1 thing for every session that you go to. Then at the end of the day, when you look at all the sessions you went to, you're going to pick one thing to put a star next to. This is your next actionable step. So if your conference is 2 days long, you'll have 2 actionable steps. If your conference is 3 days long, you'll have 3 actionable steps. Those are things that when you get home from convention and you're on that high, that you are want to make sure you act on right away. All right. Now, the rest of the information is still there. All the details, all the notes you've taken, all of the great highlights and things, those are there. But those 3 actionable steps, those 3 things that you starred, you're going to work on that Monday. I do recommend taking a little bit of a break that Sunday, usually taking it off, just letting all of it kind of float out of your mind, not making any impulse decisions or anything like that. Wait till Monday to start doing anything. But now you're going to act on those 3 steps. Then over the next several weeks, months, and time like that, you can look back through your notes, look through those highlighted sections. Was there anything else you wanted to do? Are there other changes or other things you want to research? This helps you to beat the overwhelm, to keep from impulsively changing all your plans at one time, and make sure you actually do something with that information that you learned. So definitely take full advantage of your phone throughout the convention experience. You can take pictures of slides that different speakers share up on the wall. That usually has most of the bullet points, the notes you were going to write anyways. So be sure to take pictures of those, and then you can just write down those few things at the end of the day that you wanted to highlight. Also, take pictures of different curriculums in the vendor hall, or again, those different brochures or things like that. If you don't want to add to the paper clutter, you can take pictures of, a book that, I want to make sure I put this on my wish list for later, or when I go home at the end of the first day, I want to do some more research on that to decide if I want to purchase it the following day. Using your phone can be a great resource. You also want to make sure that you are networking. Homeschool conventions are a great way to network with other homeschool moms, with different curriculum companies, and with just different people that maybe you've known, like meeting people online. I wanted to take a second before I share more about this tip. I did want to say that I will be at the Wichita Homeschool Convention, the Kansas Home Educators Convention here in May. I will also be going to the Teach Them Diligently conference in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee in May as well. And I would love to connect and network with you guys. I'm going to put a Google form down in the description below. If you guys are going to be at either one of those conferences, be sure to fill it out. And I'm thinking about maybe hosting a little meetup, maybe one of the lunch times or the dinner times, just inviting anybody who'd like to get together to just talk and chit chat. If you guys would be interested in finding out more information, I'm still putting together details as we get closer. But if you would like that information, once I decide on those times and dates, be sure to drop your information down in that Google form below, and I will send out an email once those details are finalized. But back to my tip. I would really encourage you when you go to not be afraid to introduce yourself. If you're in a workshop, before the workshop begins, look to your right, look to your left. Is there one person that you could just introduce yourself to and say, "Hi, my name is Katie. How long have you been homeschooling?" Or is this your first time at convention? Just asking one quick question. It doesn't have to lead to a long, overdrawn conversation for those introverts who I know are just cringing at this tip. But just starting those conversations, you never know who you might meet at one of these conventions and the lifelong friends that you could make. The very last tip that I have for you guys is to make sure to connect, like I said, and network with those curriculum companies. Ask them, go up to your favorite vendors. Maybe you don't need to purchase any more curriculum because you've already purchased from them, but go up and let them know what the work is that they're doing and how much you appreciate it. This is so encouraging to these creators to know that there are families that are being impacted by their curriculum. Go up and ask them if there is a community for their particular curriculum company. I know many homeschool curriculum companies offer free Facebook communities of different people who use their curriculum, who can come together and share tips and tricks and ask questions. This is a great way to continue that networking experience beyond just the weekend into helpful information, so that as you're jumping into the curriculum for the next year, you can go back and still ask questions and have help. Well, I could probably keep going for much longer. I want to keep this short and sweet and to the point for you guys. I hope this has been helpful. If you are going to be at the Wichita Homeschool Convention or you are going to be at the one in Pigeon Forge this May, be sure to drop your information down below because again, I would love to get together and meet with you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.